Black Consciousness Movement. A new book reflecting on the stories of women from the Black Consciousness Movement has been launched. The book, titled Time to Remember, commemorates the 50th anniversary since the movement was born. More than 30 women share their stories in their book. They believe the contribution of women of Black consciousness is not given due recognition. In studio with me is one of the ladies, writer and researcher, Miss Sam Moodley, joins me now. A very good morning to you, Miss Moodley. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. When we talk about the Black Consciousness Movement, many of us would attempt to say we know what it is, but you were right there and you lived in that time. When you heard this being presented to you, what resonated for you that made you decide this is the movement I want to be a part of?
Well, it touched on my conscience first, and then I evolved into my own consciousness. And that consciousness stemmed from the fact that there were so many injustices around me, particularly towards women. And women have always been sidelined. It seemed that women were not given the kind of recognition, and as much as they did play a leadership role, we found that often it was said that women needed to be in the kitchen, women needed to do the photocopying, women needed to do everything else, the administrative work, being secretary. But Black consciousness was different. It brought out the humanity in us recognizing who we were. It gave us the power to understand that we were more than what we were made to be or what we were socialized to be. And the political conditions under which we were placed under, we realized that there was much more for us to contribute to the struggles in this country. As much as people think that we were not recognized, we played an equal role with the men, not around the men, but with the men. So we were partners in the decision making. We were partners in taking the movement forward. So we were not left on the sidelines of Black consciousness.
Sure. Why is it that we find that we have a common struggle, then we have a women's struggle, which is only pushed by women? You talk about women not being documented on history's Hall of Fame in terms of their contribution to the Black consciousness movement. Why is that?
I think it's because we've always been regarded as and socialized, and it comes from the whole concept of patriarchy. And it's a question of how men are deemed to be the ones in power. They are the ones who are the decision makers. Women have never been given that right, and we forged our way, and that is the difference with Black consciousness. And for instance, Winnie Makware, who became the first woman president of a Black consciousness movement, of Black People's Convention, BPC. And there, if you saw the likes of people like, to which this book is dedicated, Vuyelwa Mashalaba, Nomsisi Krai, Debs Machoba, and there are hundreds of women who have not been, maybe unknown, but have contributed to the struggle in this country. Many of them have been banned. Many of them have been on the run. Many of them have been in prison. I mean, we are launching the book at Constitutional Hill, at the women's jail. And in the book, you will see that there are women like Jubi Mayat, the doyen of journalism, Debs Machoba. You'll find people like Tembi Machoba. Number of women who have been there. You look at Anjani Punan. These women were imprisoned in the fort. And when they were released, they still came forth. And that is what consciousness did. It did not leave us in a void, as we thought that Black consciousness was there to create a void. It didn't. It built up the evolution of our being as people of this country who are contributory to the social, political, and economic conditions that we were faced with.
What is the state of Black consciousness in modern-day South Africa?
It is evolving. You can never say, people want to say that Black consciousness is dead. Black consciousness cannot. It is, then you are. I'm saying to each one of us, it depends on you entirely. It depends on your position in society. Nobody would ever put you down. And that is what Black consciousness teaches you. It teaches you integrity. It teaches you pride. It teaches you self-reliance. It teaches you the values, the basic values of life. And that is how you will find all that and all those values embedded in the stories of the women in Time to Remember. It is our time to remember.
This is such a long time coming, and it's amazing that this has been put together. We are, because you were. Thank you for your contribution, and thank you for coming through to chat to us this morning.